Okay, I have been really scared to talk about this, and I don't even know why, honestly. But there's something just overwhelming me that I need to tell my story of what happened. So, since turning my life around, getting sober, and really focusing on God, I've had great things happen in my life, and I'm very grateful for them. But I also started focusing with this focus on God. I also started focusing on other things and reading, and things would pique my interest. And there's this Pastor Ray Froning, and um, I'm friends with him on Facebook, and his post always caught my eye, and there was something like calling me to deliverance. Like I feel like I've dealt with a lot of bad people in my life, and but I've always like wanted to just help them, and I just feel like I don't know, there's just a calling for that. So I messaged him one day because I had seen a couple of his posts, and and it was weird because I was thinking about him, and then all of a sudden he randomly commented on one of my posts, and I had messaged him, and I uh, I had said that I told him about my interest in deliverance, and he told me, well, if you want to be able to deliver people, you have to have deliverance yourself. And I said, well, I don't think I have any demons, but definitely people who have like surrounded me have demons, because I feel like I've always gotten attacked by people, like, and that's just how I felt. But anyways, and so he goes, well, why don't you meet me at my church? I'll be there with one of my female prayer assistants, and we'll do some deliverance. So I did not expect to experience anything, if I'm being honest. If I'm being 100% honest, well, I thought that I would get some prayer, and it would feel healing, and it would be a great time. Okay. So um, I get to church, and then it's a process. I was there for 2.5 hours, and it was just me and Rafe and the prayer assistant, Nikki. And Nikki told me her story of her deliverance, and she said that her hands were all like this and on the floor and stuff, and she was shaking. And then Pastor Rafe told me his story of deliverance and how he had other voices coming out of him. And but then we went into this process where we talked about every person who has hurt me in my life, and then what they did, and then we prayed and handed it over to Jesus. And so we did that, and that was like an hour and a half process in its own. And it was like we went through everybody. And then we prayed together, and we had put some worship music on. And Pastor Rafe went into the other room and said, "I'll be right back." And then me and Nikki kind of talked, and then he came back in, and so he goes, "Okay, well, we're gonna do your deliverance now." And so I will be honest, like when Nikki told me her story and Rafe told me his story of deliverance, like there was a voice in my head that was like, okay, don't have to like lie. And again, I had never like talked to these people in person. I just had met Nikki. I had only talked to Rafe on Facebook and heard him speak a few times. And so we stand up, and they start the deliverance process, and he starts to pray away the spirit of rejection. Now, I was born to a woman who didn't want me. And so that spirit of rejection was like deep rooted in me. And so we were standing, and they were standing on both sides, and my knees started to kind of shake. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I so nervous right now? And all of a sudden, I flew back, and like I was on the floor, and then my back was arched like completely up. And again, this was praying away the spirit of rejection. And then my hands were like this, and it felt like cold was like coming out of them. And um, and I was like stuck like that. And then there were screams coming from my stomach. Like they weren't coming like when you talk and scream, you feel it in your throat. They were coming from like my stomach, and I was screaming and like just screeching. And it was like that for a while. And he was praying, praying, praying. But I wasn't scared. That's what the weird part is. Like I think back, like I wasn't scared. I was just waiting for it to end, and it wouldn't. So then I yelled out Jesus, like I was able to yell out Jesus, and it felt like I was covered in sand, like a whoosh, and like just light all over my body. So then we went into the spirit of death, and I had just had a miscarriage, and I'm pregnant again. I'm pregnant again right now with my little baby girl, but I wasn't pregnant yet again. But the the spirit of death, it like recreated the pains I had when I had. So yeah, the spirit of death recreated the miscarriage pains. But then I was having like a loud voice in my head that was like saying stuff. I don't remember what it was saying, but I just remember screaming, "Get out of my head." Um, and then he got to the spirit of addiction. Nothing really happened, which I was really shocked because I'm, almost 3 years sober from alcohol. So I don't know what happened there. Um, and then he got to the spirit of witchcraft, and that one tormented me because for a few days after, because I was scared of, like, when I was because when he started praying the spirit of witchcraft out of me, my feet started like kicking, like, and like I wasn't doing it though. And so the next couple days, like when I would be driving my car, I'm like, what if it is still in me and it makes my foot like press down on the gas pedal? And so, and I also, okay, so again, I have never met these people. There were no cameras, there wasn't an audience. It was the three of us in a private room, and I peed my pants during the spirit of witchcraft. Like, okay, so, and then, oh, I forgot to say too, right before we started the deliverance, he anointed me with oil. But anyways, besides that, so then, I think that was the last one. Everything was kind of a blur, but anyways, so then we got stood up and we started praying to kind of close it, and I started speaking in tongues, and it was just like I was in shock. Like a couple days later, I had to call Pastor Rave, and I had to talk to him and be like, "Did like what happened? Like this happened, right?" Because I was in such disbelief. And here's the thing: if you don't believe me, I really don't care. Like you can think what you want. Like I don't care who watches or who sees this. I hope that people that need to see it see it. I don't have a big audience. Like I don't get many views. Like I don't care, but like I need to tell people about it. And if you can think like, oh, that's not true, because guess what? I didn't believe Rafe. I didn't believe Nikki when they told me. Now I know with no doubt in my mind that they were telling the truth. I also know that God exists, and I know Jesus exists. I know that there are angels and demons. It's not that I believe, I just know now. What I experienced, it's so unbelievable. I have a hard time saying it's true as I talk right now. Like, but it is. But like, you can say what you want. You can call me names. You can say I'm crazy. You can say all this stuff. That doesn't affect me because humans are worldly. Okay, there is life beyond this, and I know that for a fact now. My life is different. Like I respond to things differently. I don't have, like, when I have a bad day, I don't go straight to thinking I would be better off dead like I did my entire life. Okay, even after years of therapy, I would still sit there and think, you know what, I'd just be better off dead. I have not had that voice in my head since this. Went in there thinking it was just going to be healing prayer, and I got something I never thought could ever happen. Like it was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I don't know why it took me so long to tell the story. It was almost like I was embarrassed. I was scared what people like were thinking. But I was talking to my husband tonight about it, and I'm like, I don't care if people don't believe me. Like, you don't have to. You don't have to believe me. I'm just telling you something I experienced, and if it can help somebody out there, then praise God. But I shouldn't keep quiet about things that God has blessed me with, because that experience was a blessing. Um, and Jesus has done so much for me in my life, so much. Like he has never forsaken me, and I shouldn't be quiet about him. And I think that's what a lot of us Christians are guilty of, is being quiet about Jesus. So I'm not afraid to tell this. And again, I'm not afraid of what anybody's going to say, because I really don't care. It doesn't affect me in any way. Say what you want. And the thing is too, when people say crazy things and horrible things, it's demonic. So, and demons are real, but so are angels, and so is God.